A new piece, written by the author, anticipating the Queen's next birthday. Next year sees the Queen's 92nd birthday. I'll be sure to save all those royal pull-out supplements, sort the photos in age order, and you've got a Flickr book where she disintegrates like a vampire in a tanning salon. The birthday celebration is called Trooping the Colour, so called because it demonstrates what colour you need to be in Britain to ride around in a golden carriage. Decades of royal variety performances have turned Her Majesty's face into a sort of scowling scrotum, but, like any entertainer aiming at the lowest common denominator, she still has her catchphrases to fall back on. There's, "And what do you do?" "How interesting," and the less well-known one she mutters after shaking hands on walkabouts. "Burn these gloves, sharpish." I reckon one day she'll reveal why she always asks, "And what do you do?" She'll come out onto that balcony in a purple turban with a giant plastic eye stuck to the front and do a music hall-style Memory Man act, the crowd below testing her with random names and locations. "Mom! Mom! Terence Harris! Littlehampton!" Quick as a flash, she'll yell back, "Judo instructor! Next!" She always wears those gloves. Apparently it's to hide horrific burns sustained as a child when she was taught how to correctly navigate the dinner table by the use of electrified training cutlery. "Now it's got to be the langoustine tongs. Ah!" There is evidence that being a royal's a difficult job. After all, we got Europeans in to do it. Perhaps we want to make sure that one family experiences the best of everything life has to offer, so that at least somebody can understand how truly shit Britain is. The Queen is said to be politically neutral, although one harbours a suspicion that most people with £1 billion and a diamond hat tend to lean to the right. I feel for her having to meet Theresa May once a week. What with being one of the few remaining unprivatised public assets, she must know that she's sizing her up like a farmer at a cattle market. One more economic class could see the Queen move to an air-conditioned glass tank in a Qatari shopping centre. I suspect even her death is being saved for when the government most needs a moment of national unity. Theresa May turning up for her weekly meeting and pulling out a pillow. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm afraid ISIS have just landed in Cornwall." I just hope she dies before her mind goes. The economy's in enough trouble without her leaving all she's got to a cat's home. I'm not sure tourists would fork out 23 quid for the Buckingham Palace tour just to watch a footman tapping turds into the fireplaces with a croquet mallet. I say, make her more representative of the average pensioner, at least in death. No state funeral, have her discovered slumped in a chair 2 weeks later, corgis gnawing on her femur. There are positive things to say about the monarchy. Many charities wouldn't exist without them. As if the royals hadn't helped normalise extreme inequality, they'd have run out of things to do ages ago. And I'm not saying their various idiosyncrasies aren't amusing. Stretch Prince Philip's pelt around a beach ball and his liver spot layout forms an exact map of the craters on their dying home planet, Memulox 9. I'm sure they're a perfectly charming bunch of people to run into if you aren't naked and slowly regaining consciousness on the deck of a yacht where they've greased the mast. Prince Charles spent 3 years at Trinity College, Cambridge, it being one of the few buildings in the country with a powerful enough electric fence to keep out the teenage Nicholas Witchell. Witchell's basically a stalker funded by the licence payer. They only tolerate him because of the terror threat. The Queen just wants someone nearby who'd leap in front of her to soak up shrapnel the moment so much as a car backfires. Charles left Cambridge with a triple first, or as they insisted on calling it, a third. Princess Diana, however, went to Oxford. She'd been planning to get off at Reading, but got trapped in the train's toilet after being outwitted by the lock. The new generation of royals seem to have far better PR. It's hard to imagine that 20 years ago this whole institution seemed to be teetering. The new showrunner has certainly done an excellent job, with these awkward, deeply pointless princes fronting an operation that grows ever wealthier. The Queen's income has risen from £6 million in 2000 to £20 million today, even as their subjects struggle through austerity. So why does the monarchy continue? Possibly, the enduring popularity of the royals is because of a kind of national inferiority complex. The flag-waving and militarism has always spoken of a certain insecurity, an insecurity where it's natural to feel that all you deserve is to be one loud noise and a helicopter crash away from being ruled by a 6-year-old. I suppose it's also encouraged by forces of control because it engenders a general idea of hierarchy, acts as a living metaphor for the joys of inequality. And maybe there's something more to it. Maybe there's the subtext of noblesse oblige, a nod to a time when the powerful had rights over people, but responsibilities towards them as well. Maybe actual kings and queens are the last remaining links to the idea of having responsibility to anything other than the self. Relics of something that once had some nominal purpose. And I'm not saying they're not diverting, much as when the Titanic sank. There must have passed by ornate pieces of furniture, a beautiful table lamp, an elaborate silver salver, useless out there on the ocean, but pretty to look at, before they, and you, sank beneath the waves.